Well, I guess reverse psychology works because back in 2022, in the wake of the 222 Historiques inaugural debut in yellow gold, Andrew visited Christian Salmoni, Vacheron Constantin's style and heritage director, at the manufacturer. And at the end of the video, well, Marcus, roll the clip.
It's a boutique-only edition, is that correct?
Yes, it's true.
And this is not going to quickly extrapolate into other models, as we have had many people just, I suppose, speculate that this will turn into a collection with a steel model soon. Not going to happen.
So again, to make things clear,
unless you tell me it is right now.
Famous final words there, Andrew. Unfortunately, he was wrong, and kudos to Christian for keeping a good poker face. So here we are, 3 years later with the 222 Historiques in steel. And as exciting as this novelty is, it is ultimately just a material swap. So on the surface, I could keep this very short and say, okay guys, it's in steel, roll the credits. But jokes aside, let's do a brief recap, touch on some of the nuances of the gold versus the steel, and touch on some important points this release raised within the watch community. So the 222 was born in 1977 and was one of the core 5 pieces that ushered in an era of luxury integrated steel watches. There was the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak in 1972, the Girard-Perregaux Laureato in 1975, Patek Philippe Nautilus and IWC Ingeniuer in 1976, and last but certainly not least, the 222 in 1977, named as such because 1977 marked the 222nd anniversary of the brand. And while 3 of the 5 can be credited to Gerald Genta, the 222 is notably designed by Jorg Hysek. Like the 2022 gold model and the original 1977 model, the 222 Historiques in steel measures 37mm in diameter and is a slender 7.95mm thick, though, as we would say with the Royal Oak, it has a larger presence on the wrist than 37mm would suggest. By no means beefy, but I could understand people mistaking it as a 38 or 39mm watch. It remains 50 meters water resistant and is driven by the same 40-hour automatic 2455/2 movement seen inside the gold version, which we'll circle back to these 2 elements in a little bit. As you can likely infer, the steel model feels very different on the wrist. By no means light as a feather, but certainly not having the same uber luxurious heft a full solid gold model offers. Also, while I'm sure the same decoration processes are utilized, the largely full brush finish signature of the 222 is not as visually rich as it is on the gold model. The lines of a brush finish always tend to be a bit louder, so to speak, on gold than on steel. But let's be clear, this watch is still finished very, very well. Lastly, it may seem silly to call out, but a key visual difference between the pair as well is a blue dial. Not so much the fact that one is blue and one isn't, but that the steel model doesn't have that same monochromatic sensibility as the 2022 gold model. Had Vacheron Constantin opted for a charcoal dial, which the 222 historically had as well, that monochromatic element would have been maintained, but I'm glad the brand opted for blue to introduce more color and contrast into the mix. And it's worth noting that the brand has been quite faithful to the original with its choice of blue, but it reacts to light differently. Under more intense light, it does brighten, whereas the original, from my experience, has remained darker, and in lower light could almost be confused for charcoal. So that's not so much the case with this 2025 model. It's a bit more vibrant. Whether the watch community is suffering from groupthink or simply great minds think alike, there have been a few key points of recurring feedback raised amongst a clear favorable sentiment around this release. Number 1, and this was raised for the gold model as well, in the modern era, it would have been awesome to see the 222 double its depth rating, from 50 meters to 100 meters, to offer that elevated sense of safety. Look, logic would tell us 50 meters is fine for surface swimming, but with a piece so rare and coveted, I can understand people having a harder time finding comfort in really pushing this watch to its limits. Number 2, the 40-hour automatic movement. In an era of weekend-proof 70-hour plus watches, 40 hours can feel quite basic. And look, I get that, but I also get that maintaining the sub 8mm thickness likely necessitates concessions on both the depth rating and caliber front. Number 3, some have said they would prefer to see the 222 transition to being 3-handed, so that the dial feels more alive with the running seconds hand. On this point, we can't have it both ways. We can't ask a brand to be one-to-one faithful while also asking for things to be changed. The 222 was born 2-handed, and I appreciate Vacheron sticking with it. If elements like running seconds and depth ratings are deal breakers for you, ultimately this is the purpose the overseas serves. The 222 is a historical foil, not a reinvention, rather a revival and time capsule. Lastly, as seemingly all watch releases encounter, some have raised their eyebrows at the pricing of the steel version at $32,000, which is about 30% more than the closest steel overseas equivalent. To those questioning this price point, I actually have to wholeheartedly disagree with you. As a 222 Historiques model, there is zero intention of selling hundreds of thousands of these watches. This boutique exclusive will likely not be so easy to purchase at retail, dare I say even harder than the gold model. So it is not meant to be accessible, it is highly exclusive. A quick anecdote, the folks over at FP Journe once explained to me that Journe himself does not think the FFC watch, the Francis Ford Coppola watch, is worth $1 million, but is priced as such because they can only make so many and are trying to de-incentivize inquiries. It seems counterintuitive, but they actually want to shorten the queue to benefit both the consumer and the brand. So I would say the 222 in steel is similar. Had the watch been priced at, say, around 20,000 US dollars, Vacheron would be overwhelmed by requests for this watch and leave a lot of people disappointed. And to be frank, knowing what this steel watch will likely go for once it inevitably hits the secondary market, I don't fault Vacheron for wanting to get its piece of the pie up front. And furthermore, the vintage models go for much more than this retail price. So it is clear the market values a 222 in steel at or well beyond this retail price of $32K. So I think it's actually very, very fair, especially when you consider how watches like the Nautilus 5711 and Royal Oak Jumbo have been priced, pretty much at this level in the modern era at retail. The lingering question that remains is where the 222 as a Historiques model goes from here. I mean, look, it took 3 years for this steel version to follow up the gold, so I'm not holding my breath for another 222 anytime soon. But as a Historiques model, I cannot envision a world where a 222 goes modern with titanium, ceramic, or carbon. And in terms of the historical well that could still be tapped into, Vacheron has yet to explore the 33mm version of the 222, a two-tone configuration, or the remaining dial executions, such as, steel and charcoal. So without bringing the 222 in the future, there are still plenty of options, but does it make sense to have 10 variations of a very exclusive watch? And would the market be happy were, say, these two initial models discontinued at some point to make way for new entries? I don't think so. But let me know in the comments what you hope and predict for the 222 in the future. Again, the Vacheron Constantin 222 Historiques in steel is not a limited edition, but it is a boutique exclusive limited in production each year and is priced at 32,000 US dollars or 53,000 Australian dollars. Look, so thank you so much for joining us today. I really hope that you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss our future videos coming this year. Time+Tide in 2025, it's gonna be a big year for video, so you're definitely not gonna wanna miss out. So please hit that subscribe button, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.